Hey everyone, time is 10 o'clock a.m. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks everyone for joining. Today you're tuning in for our daily Teams demonstration and training. My name is Adam. Also on the line over here is Abby, Shane, and John. I'll be the main presenter today. People will be jumping in here and there, and then when you ask questions, one of the four of us will be participating directly, replying directly to you. The topic today is smart meetings. So today we're going to spend some time and really kind of get to the next level of how to do meetings effectively, right? Meetings are something that we do all of the time. And just let's see. Yeah, okay. So just checking. My sound okay, everybody? Can I get a quick reply back in the Q&A if I sound okay?
Yeah, you sound good. Yep.
Okay. Okay, cool. Hey, so meetings are something that we do all the time, right? So let's spend a little bit of time and kind of put our heads together and see how we can do them maybe a little bit more effectively and save you all some time and effort. So before we get into this, just also want to quickly advertise some of the other topics that are coming up in the future. So if you hopped on and you're looking for a different session, don't fear. There's a lot of other opportunities for other topics as well. So today we've got smart meetings highlighted there up in purple. Tomorrow we have more of an kind of a general kind of Q&A session. The fundamentals are really kind of like Teams 101. So if you're looking for more of like a fundamental class on how to use Teams, you can jump in one of those. We also have some of those recorded on demand. And then live events is a new one that'll be coming up that we're actually going to touch on here in a second, if you're interested in learning more about that. So moving along. All right, so in Office 365, there's really two types of meetings, okay? So the ones that we're going to focus on today are these ones over on the left, all right? So these are like the standard Teams meetings that you would typically set up with your groups to closely collaborate. One thing to know about these, there's a max of 250 attendees for these calls, okay? So if you have a larger group outside of that, it's probably not the best tool. As long as you have 250 people, that's a great method to set up a quick meeting. It's easy. You can do, one-on-one calls. You can do more organized sort of calls where you set yourself as the presenter, and we'll show you how to go through some of those options today. So you have options within there, but they're more collaborative type of meetings where typically, unless otherwise managed, everyone has equal participation, right? Everyone can turn on their video. Everyone can jump on and speak and unmute themselves and that kind of thing. There's a second type of meeting over here called live events. Probably should have typed that. Live events, if you can see my handwriting there. These are for meetings of 10,000 people or more. So what we're actually presenting out to you all right now is through a live event, and we're doing that because some of the meetings that these trainings that we've been doing this week have 500 to 1,000 people join, right? Which is fantastic. So anyway, so this is the right tool for this. This is more of like a little bit different experience, as you all can see right now, right? It's more one way. We have a production crew on our end. We're streaming out to you. You're all receiving the stream, and then you're interacting with us through Q&A. So it's not an equal participation type option, right? So you've got more of a one-way type of event, even though you do have that Q&A feature, which is really nice. And these are great for meetings that are large and at scale. So like all hands events, right, and that kind of thing. These live events, we are gonna have a session on it a week from today. So in the agenda on the last slide, we had this session set up for a week from today. So we're gonna cover that next week. We're not gonna spend as much time on this. We're gonna spend more time over here on typical meetings and using Teams. Just so you know, both of these are scheduled in Teams. Both of them are available in Teams. If you have access to one, you have access to the other. So both are available to you today. All right, so just a couple of intro slides here. Meetings really take up a lot of our work life, right? As much as 50% of our time spent at work is with meetings. And they come in all different shapes and sizes, right? You can have one-on-one meetings, you can have team meetings, you can have topic-specific project meetings, training sessions, review sessions, sales meetings. There's all hands, which are larger, right? So there's all different types of meetings. And we're going to focus on a couple of these as use cases and kind of show you how the best way to think about scheduling them and managing them in Teams and generally Office 365. That's what we're going to focus on today. Meetings are more than the actual meeting itself, though, right? Which is something that's important to remember. So for a successful meeting, there's typically like 3 different components is how I think about it. So first you have like that pre-meeting sent out. So you'll send out, the agenda or however you schedule the session. You'll push that out. And then from there, you might want to send them some pre-reads, right? So maybe you have docs, any files that you want to share ahead of time. Can be sent out ahead of time, right? So people can make the best use of your time together in the actual meeting. Then you come up to the actual meeting, right? And then you need all those features to have a productive meeting that you'd expect, right? Like to screen share, to share video, to chat, of course, and mute yourself and unmute yourself for larger meetings, to manage presenters and non-presenters and all that good stuff. And then post-meeting, you probably have some actions or some kind of follow-ups that came from the meeting, right? If it was productive. And so afterwards, you also have a need to post something and submit a request for action from some of the participants in the meeting, right? So that's an important component too. And especially if it's a weekly call, then you do that all again, the next day or the next week for recurring meetings, right? So it's kind of like the cycle before, during, and after. And we're going to touch on all 3 of these today. And Teams, kind of the story here that I want to make sure that you come across with this, Teams really has a nice way to do all 3 of these things in a really seamless way. So, all right, moving right along. The 3 use cases that we're going to focus on today are standalone scheduled meetings, ad hoc meetings, then project-based or group-based. So let's start with the standalone and scheduled meeting and dive right into it. So the first thing let's kind of cover sort of basics around setting up meetings. A lot of you have done this before, but it's probably helpful just to kind of take a look, right? Here's my Outlook client. Let's first start in Outlook and some of the features that you have when setting up an Outlook meeting. For standalone meetings, Outlook is a great option. You can do standalone meetings in Teams as well. But if for a standalone meeting, Outlook is a really easy kind of great way to set up a meeting, right? So what this does is it creates a standalone bridge that then you'll use to coordinate with both internal or external attendees. So it'll be kind of like a separate sort of standalone space that is used for that meeting and just for that meeting, and really isn't connected into Teams in any other way other than that. Okay, so that's kind of the use case here. Great for external meetings especially, maybe not for meetings that you have for people on your team though. So we'll cover that, how to do that a little bit later. So hopefully, if you have Teams in your organization, you'll see that you have the Teams, the new Teams meeting plugin installed into Outlook. If you don't have that, I would definitely recommend reaching out and trying to get that set up. And setting up a meeting in Outlook is pretty easy for a standalone. You just click this, right? It opens up a new calendar invite. And you'll notice here what happens is it's kind of like a standard calendar invite. And then if you've Skyped before, it's kind of the same sort of look and feel with different content. Then you see the bridge, like the meeting information is plugged in directly below, right? And then from here, you just set up your meeting as you typically would, right? Whatever, add somebody, you can add people as optional. Of course, when your time's going to be, by default, it plugs in to Microsoft Teams meeting. So it's kind of nice. So people kind of know that it's a virtual thing as opposed to being in a room. Then you put in any, topic information here, right? And then fire it off. Now, there are some more advanced features that I did want to quickly cover that are more sort of maybe Outlook related, but I think they're important just to kind of cover here. If you want to make this recurring, so let's say it's a daily stand-up, not a one-time event, you can click this little make recurring item, right? And then you have the option to set it up daily, weekly, monthly, whatever. So you do that, and let's say this is happening every Saturday, whatever. I have this set up, click OK, and now you see the recurrence, the little pops in. If I need to change that, I can edit that there. Some other things to call out. There's also this meeting options down here. So okay, actually just from top to bottom, here's the link that a participant would use to join over VoIP, like over their network, over the web. And if they're on their phone, also they could use their data on their phone to join this way as well. If you have licensing for it, not all of you will have it, but if you have licensing for PSTN, like dial-in information, you'll also see that included by automatically as well. If this doesn't show up, don't worry. That just means that you don't have it available, and you know it's fine. I mean, you can still join via VoIP. It's all good. If you have it, great. And that's just another option that people can use to call in, right, through a dial-in. And it's pretty slick also too, like on the mobile experience, if you just click it, it'll not only push out the phone number, but then also puts in the code. So all you have to do is click it and it gets you right in, which is pretty nice. And then there's this this meeting options information down here. So let's click that and see what that's about. So here are our meetings that we, our options that we have available in Teams to manage a meeting. Okay, so you notice it's a little different than in Teams than maybe you had before in Skype or whatever. It actually opens up in a new browser tab, which is kind of interesting. And you know, there's only a few options, right? So it's pretty simple here, pretty straightforward. But just to kind of cover what's available, the lobby. So the lobby is really just an opportunity to have people, you know, to have a space where people have to go first and then they get approved to join the meeting. So if you want to bypass the lobby, meaning there's no lobby associated with the meeting, the default is everyone. So that just means people just jump directly right in. If you want to have people only come in from your organization, for instance, but you want to approve guests, like external guests, then this option's great. And then for the people in my organization, that is just for people in my organization. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So who can bypass trust organizations? Anyway, that just means from a security standpoint, if other organizations have been like whitelisted in. So you choose one of those. You can announce when callers join or leave. You can choose to do that or not, and then a little notification on the Teams meeting, you know, announces that. And then who can present? So this is a really handy feature for larger meetings, especially. So again, there's a 250 limit to this type of meeting that I just set up, right? Because this is like a standard meeting in Teams. But let's say that you only have 1 or 2 presenters, and everyone else is in the audience and will be attending. This not only allows you to present, but also allows you to mute everybody, which really helps from like just a meeting management perspective. So anyway, so you know, typically I have everyone, you know, I just use all the defaults myself if I'm doing like a standard meeting, but if I'm doing a larger thing, I'll usually do specific people or only me here. All right, so those are the meetings. You just hit save and then those get set up. And then when you hit send, this gets pushed out like any other Outlook meeting. So what's nice about this is it's sort of like the standard, you know, an Outlook calendar request is popped onto someone's calendar, and then they get an email that they can then approve or reject if they want to attend, right? So kind of like a, you know, pretty standard to most people. People are pretty familiar with this type. So this is a great option for just setting up standalone Teams meetings. Now you can also do this in Teams directly. So let's pull up our demo team. And here we have, this is a GCC tenant, so it's a government tenant, so everything here should be available to you. If it looks a little bit different, that just means your environment's configured a little bit differently, by the way. So no worries there, just know that. So there, also you see there's this calendar button over on the left rail in Teams, right? So if you click this, first thing to notice, this is a mirror image of your Outlook calendar. So this should update, you know, this should be one-to-one with your Outlook calendar. And if you open one and it's not updated, just give it half a second and you'll see things sort of move around. So just know that it's all coming from the same source. Office 365, you only have like one calendar for yourself, right? So this is all coming from the same source. It's just displayed now in Teams as opposed to in Outlook. So we see up here, there's some options for creating a new meeting in Teams as well. So this is a great way to also set up a meeting. You can do standalone meetings here too. So if I want to do it the same kind of way, I guess I'll just follow what I did before. Let's say I want to add, this time we'll add Deborah, who Abby is in this tenant. Looks like she's free, cool. Anyway, so same options. What I really want to show is that you have a lot of the same options here as you do in Outlook. So if you want to repeat this is where this, you know, in Outlook, we call it the recurrence. Here Here it's called repeat. Click that, and now you have different options for repeating, right? So you can choose if you want to repeat every day, weekly, even yearly, and then when you want it to end. You can use Scheduling Assistant, which pulls up both of your calendars, just like in Outlook. Oh, I forgot to show that in Outlook, but you're probably familiar with that. But anyway, this shows that same kind of view, so you can quickly see when Deborah's free. So it looks like Deborah's like not free at 1, but she is free at 2. So that's cool. So I can like schedule something that works for her, for both of us. Oops, back. So Schedule Assistant there, the recurrence that you can set there. The meeting, so we're going to save this for the next use case. So just sort of leave that blank. And feel free, by the way, to log into Teams, and I should have said this earlier, just try this along with us, and then give us feedback in the Q&A if something's not working or working differently. Just feel free to learn this with us while I'm doing this. And then where invite people is right here. So I put Deborah in there before. I can invite whoever is basically who I'm connected to in the gal, or I can put a direct email address in there too. And then if you put someone in there by accident, you just X them out, schedule it, and now we have a meeting scheduled for the two of us. It happens daily at 2 p.m. And then this pops up. So this is kind of cool. So this is a little bit different than an Outlook. So now I have this option, so you can see all that information is there, very similar to what we saw before. And meeting options are down here, which will pull up those meeting options that we went through before. And now though, we have two options here. We have join or chat with participants. So this is kind of neat. So remember when I mentioned back on my slides, right here, right? The pre-meeting part here. This is really, this is the way to do it. So once you set up the meeting, this isn't going to happen until 2 o'clock today, so 4 hours from now. But what I can do is I can click chat with participants, and what happens is it pulls in this meeting as another chat into my Teams client. So this is very cool, right? So now we have the space that we're going to meet in later, and you see we have a couple options of what we can do in this space. So by default, we have chat. So looks like Deborah did reach out, which is great. So I'll respond to her here in a moment. But for now, I can just put, I can associate it with this meeting that we have together and say, hey, I put this on your calendar. Let's see, here's the agenda. Let's do that. I have an agenda file. And then I could do something like, let me just get my file here. So I'm uploading this from actually my desktop. I just mentioned Deborah, right? So from your Teams 101 training, you probably already know how mentioning works and all that into Teams. So I mentioned her. I said, hey, here's the agenda for today. If I had some pre-reads, I could upload those docs as well. Hit the little airplane. And now I've scheduled there's popped up a new chat for Deborah that she sees in real time, which is a different chat than associated with the IM. So this, right now this meeting just has me and Deborah in it, but if this meeting had like 10 people or 20 people or something, right, this would go out to everybody. It would look the exact same way. So it's really this sort of standalone bridge that doesn't exist anywhere else in Teams, like in a team or in a channel, doesn't exist there. It's kind of like a standalone thing that we have access to. So there's the meeting pane, or the conversation pane that you can have interactive chat with beforehand and talk about any pre-reads or anything that you need to do ahead of time. If I go to files, you'll see what I just posted up to Deborah is now included in files. This is really handy if you have documents associated with the meeting. Instead of like emailing it or trying to save it somewhere or sharing it via OneDrive or whatever, what you can do is you can just like set your meeting up, upload the files in here. Everyone has access to the files, and it's all contained in one place. Oh yeah, cool. So, all right, awesome. So Deborah's going to take a look. And then this third option is meeting notes. So meeting notes don't actually pop up until you click this take notes, and then they're actually created then. So just know that they're not created until you click this take notes. Then once you click that, you'll see what pops up is very similar to the wiki feature in Teams, if you've used that. It's basically a collaborative space where you can post sections, and anyone in the team can post sections. So this is really handy. What I use these for in meetings is for like recurring meetings, especially. I could do something like meeting, 4:30 or something like that, and then I put in the notes here. Notes, topic, actions, and you can also do stuff like I can even say, "Hey Deborah, action this please," right? And then Deborah can go in, or I can, for the next section, next week, type another one, meeting, I don't know, what would that be, 5-6 or something, and then do the same thing, right? And then we take, notes from that week. Then any actions that are needed, and we can, stuff like that. So what's cool is it's week over week, then all of this will be consolidated, all these notes in one place. So instead of having to like go to multiple locations, if you use this bridge in that way, you now have your files, your meeting notes, and any chat associated with this in one place. So let's say we actually joined the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. Deborah, feel free to jump in too. Thanks. She's going to check the notes. And hey, can I get a quick mic check? Do I still sound okay, guys?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, cool. Sometimes with the mics, it gets a little screwy, but okay, we're good. All right.
I'm hopping in the meeting, Adam. And just so you know, once we're good with this, we do have several questions. So we'll.
Oh, yeah. Let's, this is kind of a transition to another topic. So let's take some questions. Let's do it.
Sure. Okay. So one of the questions that we're getting is it possible to update a meeting invitation without resending an email to attendees?
Yeah, actually.
I think that's an Outlook question, but yeah.
Yeah, that is more of an Outlook question. If you're setting it up in Outlook, it's gonna send an email to attendees. Now you will notice if let's see. So I don't know if it's easy to demo, but basically if you set up a meeting and yeah, it's not really easy to demo. If you set up a meeting and you fire it off already, right? And then you want to add somebody to it, you could add somebody to the meeting without sending a note to everybody. It actually gives you a little prompt that says, do you want to notify everybody or just add this person? So that'd be an option where you wouldn't email everybody. But
Right.
Typically, if you're updating like the stuff in the meeting invite, yeah, it's going to shoot a note out because it's basically trying to keep everybody informed of the latest detail.
That's just, we had several questions about that.
Okay.
And I do think that if you don't have the latest version of Outlook, that you might not be getting that prompt. So just if you're not seeing that option, maybe try updating your Outlook application. That's all I can really offer as far as that goes. Yeah. And then do you need to type in all the participants into the invite, or is there a way to copy and paste from another invite or an email list from a spreadsheet?
Yeah. So copying and pasting is usually what I do. If you have a distribution group, you could set that up, right? Or if you have an existing one, you could use your distribution group, which would go out to like hundreds or thousands of people. So that's an option. If you just have, copy and paste is probably the best way. And when you go over to Outlook here, you'll see in a new meeting, like let's say that I put in Abby. Oh wait. Abby will probably pop up, but let's say I put in somebody that okay. Anyway, so people are popping up, but let's say I just do that, right? And I could just put in people's names without actually, anyway, and then you can go here to check names, and what it'll do is actually check the gal to see if people are named that, and then you can just make sure that they're the right people. So anyway, copy and paste and then checking names is usually the way that I do it.
Yep. I copy and paste too, and I'll do that from an Excel document. It's the exact same as Outlook. And then let's see, we've got some more. Is it possible to see the invitation list for an invitation that someone else put out? So in Teams, what it does is whenever you join the meeting and you select the participants, the see other people, it'll show you everyone that was invited. I'm not sure if you can click on the like calendar event beforehand and it'll show you who all was invited. I'm not sure.
It does, yeah. If you click calendar beforehand,
okay.
or like, okay, so yeah, in here it actually shows, so you could do like view details and who's invited here. And basically if you go to the calendar, you get that same view right right here.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Okay, perfect. Great. Okay. Where are meeting notes saved in this instance? Are they on the OneDrive?
Yeah.
Or sure. Okay.
That's a really good question. These are in, boy, I'm actually
I
not
think meeting
sure. I
notes
think
are in
they're in
SharePoint.
SharePoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Anytime
believe
you
they're in,
deal with multiple people involved in something, I typically think it goes to SharePoint in the back end.
yeah, it's SharePoint. I don't know exactly where this file would be in SharePoint, but it's in SharePoint somewhere. That's a good question. That's a good follow-up. Yeah.
I never know where anything is in SharePoint. So that makes
And
sense.
Teams, and the whole idea with Teams is hopefully you're not using SharePoint as much, but yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, there's some. I'm just kind of fielding through. Let's see.
Sure.
Can you show how you might check someone else's availability? I'll caveat this with right now in Teams, we don't have like a quote unquote shared calendar, but if you were to create a meeting with another person, you can see scheduling assistant, like what you're used to in Outlook. So I think they just want you to quickly go over where that is and what it looks like.
Yep. So just quickly, so if I put Deborah in there and I click the scheduling assistant here, it'll pop that up. And I could add other people, like, let's see, I'll add Bob, and I'll add, I don't know who else is in this tenant. Anyway, this is good enough. But you can see, basically what works for people. And you can see, like, if I click somewhere, or if I click something here, right, it shows that Deborah's tentative and Bob's free in this location. If I click here, they're both tentative. And if I click here, everyone's free. So just kind of a nice way to, that's how you do it.
Okay, we got a follow-up as far as copy pasting. One of our participants says that it works in Outlook, but it doesn't appear to work in Teams.
Yeah, that's probably fair. If you're copying and pasting a huge Excel, list or something, Outlook's probably better. Yeah.
And I think we can just hop in meetings. I will get to these questions and I'll check back in with you in a bit, Adam.
Great, thanks, Abby. We're just going to try it on the fly here. Yeah, it doesn't seem to work as well. Okay, yep. Okay, so let's go through meetings then. So now we're kind of talked a little bit about how we'd set up a standalone bridge, right? So this is, right, we're still on this, we're still on this standalone, right, topic here. So let's talk a little bit about how we might, once we're in the meeting, some of the features that are available in the meeting, okay? So you'll notice first off, kind of the structure is a little different than Skype. If you're used to Skype, it's just, slightly different. You have this meeting bar down below, and this meeting bar has some information in it that helps us manage and participate in the meeting effectively. And then you'll see also this is all in Teams still, right? So like, I can go and click chat and get back to my chats, and then this little box shows up here. Sometimes, depending on what you're doing, if I click like calendar, then the meeting box shows up like this, and I can always go back, click here, and it'll pull me back into the meeting with everybody else. But this is kind of, if you're multitasking or something, or you're more, you're there for awareness, but you're not really participating that closely, just know it's pretty easy to multitask that way, and then you can easily get back in. So here's some of the features that are available. We've got over here is just showing how long the meeting has gone. This is sometimes nice if you join a meeting late, you can just kind of see how long people have been together before. You can turn on your camera here, and I'll show you on how to choose which devices to use here in a second. You can unmute or mute yourself with this, right? And this is nice because it shows you. Here's the share option. So let's spend a minute here because there's usually a lot of questions on how to share. I actually don't have that much. I don't have that much available here. Typically, if you were to share out, you'd see both screen shares, and then if I have like a lot of documents open, like let's say, actually, let's pull open a document. Hopefully this works. Give me just 1 second. Yeah. Oh yeah, here's a good one. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm opening up PEP policy. Yeah. All right. So anyway, so you can do your desktop. If you have PowerPoints open, the PowerPoints will open there. So the difference really here is you're choosing to share your entire screen and everything that's on your screen, or you can also choose to share various applications that you have open. So if you have like browsers open, you can share those. If you have Word documents and PowerPoint and Excel documents open, you can share those, or other applications, you know, anything like, you know, Spotify or whatever. You can share specific applications. Just know that there is a difference between the two in terms of bandwidth. So when you share your screen, like I'm sharing with you all right now, it's more of a hog on bandwidth, both in terms of from the presenter, but also to the audience. Because if you think about it, it's like basically every single pixel in this, right? It's like rendering in real time. So it's a lot of processing power to do that, and it takes a lot more bandwidth to do that. When you choose to share just a PowerPoint, though, it's a lot lighter on the system. So especially if you have like low bandwidth, or if maybe your participants have low bandwidth, I would, you know, just think through, if you can just share the program, that might be a better option than sharing your screen, just so that people have easier access to it. In addition, if you share your program just like a PowerPoint, then if anything else pops up on your screen, like let's say you have you know, your banners on email or something, you know, and if that shows up, if someone emails you and a banner pops up on your screen, it actually won't show up if you only have the PowerPoint selected. It'll only present everything that's on PowerPoint and nothing else. So also that's kind of nice, so that like people aren't in your personal business, you know. So that's just a second on sharing. If you have any questions about sharing, let us know, but you'd share your screen doing that, right? And then let's go over these ellipses here. Let's cover some of the options here. We're just going to go kind of going left to right. Show device settings. This is one of the number one things to call out and chat about, because a lot of questions will come up initially on, hey, I can't hear you, or hey, you can hear me and I can't hear you. Here's usually where the issue is. So here you can choose what speaker, what you want to use for your devices in terms of your speaker and your headset. So right now I have my speakerphone listed for this meeting. So everything is coming in and out of my speakerphone. And that means that my microphone is a speakerphone as well. So I could actually change these. Like if I wanted to listen in through a speakerphone but talk through a headset, I could actually set it up that way if I wanted to. I just have to select whatever I wanted. And stuff should populate automatically depending on what you have. In addition, you can choose your camera. So I have like multiple cameras set up here. So this chooses my laptop camera, and then I also have a webcam, which is the Logitech. So anyway, so you can choose, you know, exactly what you need to set yourself up properly, and you'll be good to go. So I recommend sort of getting comfortable with that, because you'll be using that a lot, most likely. If I click the show meeting notes, this is the same meeting notes that we had before, right? So we're still in that same meeting that we set up with Deborah 10 minutes ago or whatever it was, and these meeting notes still show up. So week over week over week, if this is a recurring meeting, people can come in and access these meeting notes over time. So pretty handy, and then I can add them right in the main screen without leaving. If I'm just curious, like, you know, sometimes you kind of just get lost and you need to get back to, hey, where am I even at again? You can click the meeting details and it shows you, okay, here's the meeting that you're in. Here's the information. If you have somebody else that you need to add, you know, you can send them like this dial-in information here. One feature that not a lot of people know about, and again, this is something you have to be licensed for. So if it doesn't show up, it just means you're not licensed. It's okay. But if it does show up, just know you can do this, is you can put in your cell phone number, or a number to call out to. So this is my cell, and if I hit call me, what would happen is it would transfer my audio from this meeting to my cell phone. So this is really handy if I'm in like a coffee shop or something, and you know, and I'm working on my computer, but then I need to talk, you know, audio through my phone, because you know, it's just easier that way. That's a really nice feature where I just I first join and then call myself back. And also, if you need to copy the info, you can, and there's the info. So anyway, so that's meeting details. If I go into full screen, that just means it like takes up my entire screen like that, and I can exit it just by clicking on that again. Keypad, if you have that set up, you can actually, you know, dial numbers in. I hardly ever use that, but you can. Start recording. So this is great, right? So everything in Teams, you have full recording features turned available. So I'm now recording this meeting, and you'll see what pops up is this little banner up top, says you're recording, let everyone know that you're being recorded. So this is great, right? So not only, you should verbally tell people that you're starting the recording. That's, just sort of the courteous thing to do. But also they have a banner up top notifying them that they are being recorded, and that banner doesn't go away until that person dismisses it. So they should know that a recording has started. Not only is that banner there that they would need to dismiss, but also this little red dot over here, you'll see, is also showing that the meeting is recorded. So if you ever hop in and you see that little red dot there, and you also should see the banner, just know the recording has been turned on and anything you say will be recorded. If I want to, this is nice to turn off incoming video. That's a nice feature if I'm in a meeting and my bandwidth is low and everyone has their videos on. As much as I like seeing people's faces, sometimes it just doesn't work if you're struggling on your connectivity. So if you turn off your incoming video, what'll happen is everyone's videos will be automatically shut off, and it'll lighten up your bandwidth load there. So there's a lot of options in those ellipses. So just sort of, I'd recommend just spending a little bit of time and getting comfortable with that. If you go to start conversation, this is the chat that we have for this meeting. And what's cool is you'll notice that the conversation that we had started earlier when I shared the agenda and the meeting notes with Deborah, that all shows up automatically. So it's all the same features that you have within Teams, but it's available in this chat. So like this is way more than you'd have in like Skype, for instance. You could still do, like GIFs, and you can still do all that kind of stuff, right? So it's full rich chat, and then if I went back to my chat, it would look, it's all the same, right? It's all the same conversation. And then showing participants, that just shows who's in the meeting. It also, if you want to, if I had set it up this way, there's like a mute all. You can mute everybody if you need to. Also, I can, actually, I'm going to, I could make her an attendee. So let's say I'm in real time. I want to be the organizer and I want Deborah to attend. Now Deborah can't share her screen. So that's kind of, nice way to control that. If you're the organizer, you can do that. Let's also say I want to just say, all right, Deborah, since this is my meeting, I've like I was the organizer, I have a little bit more control over it. I can remove Deborah from the meeting. Sorry, Deborah. And then she'll leave. But then you'll also notice that this other invited portion here will list out anyone else in the meeting that I invited that isn't in the meeting currently. So what's cool about that is, like, let's say you invite 10 people to a meeting and only 2 people show up. And you can quickly see who else was invited and who hasn't shown up. And if you want to get people and pull them into the meeting, you can actually click this, click Ask to Join. And then what'll happen is it sends a blast out to Deborah, and then basically says like, Diego wants to pull you into his meeting. She clicks yes or no, and if she clicks yes, she gets pulled right in. So it's a really easy way, and you can also see people's presence, right? So if people are green and they haven't joined, and you really need them there, you can just ask them to join, and typically they're like, oh yeah, sorry, just sort of, kind of forgot about it. Sorry about that. Right, so really nice way to just sort of manage it that way. Don't have to go and chat people and all the rest. You can just do it directly from participants. Okay, and then finally, hanging up ends the meeting. Or actually, it hangs up. It exits me out of the meeting. So that was a lot. So I'll stop there. Abby, any questions about any of that or anything?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Okay. So I'm just gonna start from the top. Okay. When someone, if someone doesn't see Virtual Assistant in their Outlook desktop, is that the only way, or is it only in the web version, or do they need to get added to their desktop version, Virtual Assistant?
Virtual Assistant, sorry. Wait, what is that something I covered, Virtual Assistant?
I think you touched on it like in the first 5 minutes as far as setting up a meeting, but that's why I was pulling you in, because I didn't quite remember what that was.
Yeah, maybe that was the calendar. Maybe that was the calendar check.
Or scheduling assistant. That should be in your Outlook.
The scheduling. Yeah, that should be in there automatically. So it's both in your Outlook and in Teams. Yeah.
I'll see if they have any other things to share on that. Okay, so next one. Can we share 2 documents at the same time?
You can share.
I might maybe just run through really quickly why you can't show the share tray in the desktop or in the browser. Lots of questions about that.
Why this isn't showing up?
Right. It's just because we're in this, we can't
Yeah.
show our internal Microsoft Teams right now because we're using it to host the live event. So we use a demonstration environment, which is on the browser. And because it's in the browser, we have a little bit of limited capability when it comes to very few of the Teams features. And one of those, unfortunately, is the share tray. But just lots of questions around why they can't see what is being shared.
Yeah, that's fair. And it's kind of a security thing. So the short answer is it's kind of a security thing. I have an in browser, like a private browser open, so it's not like registering the other stuff outside of that. So really, this is only just anyway. So yeah, it's maybe I'll try to demo it a different way, but I promise if you click share, you should be able to share, definitely in the client, you'll see a ton of options listed, and then web browser, you still have options to screen share and stuff. It just looks a little different because it's a demo environment. Yeah.
Right. And one of the questions was, you have to have that tab open. So if you want to show a PowerPoint, if you want to, you can do one of two ways. If you wanted to share your entire screen, you could go open that PowerPoint. But I do recommend as a best practice before the meeting, have the documents that you need ready to go and open so that you're able to just select from that share tray. It'll give you all the options of your open tabs. Another best practice is if you're like me and you have like 80 tabs on your browser open at all times, remember people can see that. So don't have your gym membership cancellation tab up.
Yeah.
Okay. But that question was, can we share two documents at the same time?
Yeah. So you can share. Yeah.
You can.
Okay.
You'd have to share your desktop. So you'd have to share screen one. And then you would just have to make the boxes small enough so that they were able to see in that one screen. If you're using two monitors, it gives you the option to do screen one or screen two, but you cannot show both monitors at the same time. I hope that clarifies some things. I just bulldozed over you, Adam. Sorry.
No, that's perfect. Appreciate it. And this isn't great, but just it's kind of blurry. But this is sort of what it would look like if I was in my normal client. Everything. You see, so I'm sharing, this is the share button. Sorry, it's a little blurry, but you can see like this is the desktop sharing. Then I have all of my Windows app, like different screens that are open that I can share. And then I have like my PowerPoint files that I can share. So typically they look like that. And you'll have a lot more stuff populated when you click that share. So yeah.
Yeah, and I will say that if you are unfamiliar with the share tray process, ask one of your peers or your colleagues to do a test meeting really quick and just kind of play around with it so that you're not going in cold turkey to your first internal all hands and trying to figure out the share tray. This is all new functionality and it should be somewhat self-explanatory as far as, you share in Skype meetings and such, but get used to it. Ask a friend to help you out. We do that all the time. Adam and I do dry runs of live events and test runs and things like that. So just test it out, see what kind of style you like. Are you a desktop person or are you an individual file person?
Absolutely.
Let's see what else. Okay. Oh, can Adam demonstrate how to access the chat record participants while you're screen sharing, if it's possible?
Yeah. So okay. So and if you have one screen, if you're screen sharing, really you're just sharing everything that you have, right? So I guess the first thing would be I'd recommend having two monitors wherever you're set up. If you're doing a lot of meetings and you want to really manage multiple things. And so this way, what you could do is you can share your desktop. So I'm doing that right now, right? So this is like my desktop at home. And then you see, I'll just show you, this is my Teams client that I'm actually presenting on, right? So that's on a second monitor that I'm not using for the presentation. So I'd recommend, setting it up that way, like having your client presenting it out on the second monitor, and then you can pull in, if you want to pull in your chat directly that way, you can, or you can, really just manage it however you want. So I don't know. Is that helpful, Abby? Anything else you'd add?
Yeah, I think that if you are sharing your screen, I would use that time to share whatever information you're going for and not necessarily to look at participants. I'd like to have, if I know that I'll be presenting, I'll ask one of my coworkers or something like, hey, if anything happens in the chat that I need to know about while I'm presenting, will you come off mute and will you let me know? kind of like what Adam and I are doing now. I don't like to toggle between chat and share screen just because I don't know exactly what someone might chat me, and I don't want to leave myself vulnerable to any funny gifs that I don't want my manager to see. But yeah, I think that was self-explanatory. Okay, the next one, and I don't know the answer to this, but the dial in manually feature just modeled, it isn't available if you're not set up with Audio Bridge, right?
Right. Right. Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then can a meeting participant see and access the shared browser?
The meeting participant can access whatever you're sharing, but they can't control it. So
They
you can
won't
actually
interact.
give, yeah. So you can actually give control to people if you want. So anyway, right here is how that looks. So you see I'm presenting, and I can do give control, and I could give control to Abby if I wanted to, and then Abby could actually move around my cursor. So that's possible. But by default, you just be presenting out and they'd just see it.
Awesome. Okay, and then can multiple people share at once and allow participants to toggle between them?
I don't think so, no.
I don't think so.
The easiest way is for one person to share at a time, and then the other person would just jump in and share their screen.
Yeah.
And if both people are presenters, they can just take over the presentation at any moment, which is why sometimes you might want to manage who's a presenter and who's an attendee. But then, so they can just jump in and present.
Right. The next one I'll just answer. It's how to delete a recording. If you are the person who I believe this is correct. If you are the person who started the recording in the meeting, you have the ability to download or delete it.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone has the same ability.
Just the organizer of the meeting, and if someone different starts the recording, that person.
Okay. Yep, that's
so
how you would delete it.
Yeah. Let's actually cover recordings real fast.
Great.
Oh, you
great segue.
So
I totally meant that.
So I click end, right? It gives you a little quality. This will pop up maybe like a third of the time or something. This just gets you back to your internal teams about how stuff went, which is nice, into Microsoft. So I go back to the chat here. So here's like our chat from before. We shared the agenda. You'll see also from this recording, this new window popped up with meeting and recording, and it was 8 minutes and 6 seconds. And if I click it, it'll pull it the recording straight up into Teams. So this is really cool, right? So now, and I won't actually do that, but now you can actually see, like, so if this is a recurring meeting over time, these meetings just pop up as additional chats, and I could go back and scroll up and find the recordings that were done beforehand. In addition, something to know about, in Office 365, all the recordings you can download. If you're like an organizer or you start it, you can download the recording after the meeting. But you can also go to this app called Stream, and if you have to be enabled, but most organizations, I think, hopefully you're enabled for this. If not, I would go to IT and ask for it. This is essentially your internal YouTube for your organization. It's only internal to your company, so it's not for external sharing. But this does share the recording in your tenant, in your environment. And so this, I'm signed in as Diego. If I go to my content and my videos, what I'll see is this stand-up that we just had now is there, along with some other stand-ups that I had previously. So I can go back and see all of my videos that I had, and then I won't go into Stream too much, but you can also do things like you can add them to channels, and you can manage them kind of like you can in YouTube in a similar type of way. If you want to share them out with people, if you have like a series of videos, like a training series or something, you could share it out internally that way. So just know that Stream is the back-end repository for all recordings, and I can access my recordings here, or I can access them directly in Teams through that chat.
And I will say that if your organization has not enabled Stream, that video is still available. I would just ask your IT or your help desk how long those videos are available. Some organizations have like an expiration on them. I know for another organization I work with that they only allow you to pull that recording out of the meeting notes or whatever in the 3 days. So if you don't have Stream enabled, check with your IT or help desk to see and make sure what your time frame is for pulling that and downloading that recording.
Yeah,
because it varies.
Yep, good call out there. And if you really think you need it, just download it. Yep, totally.
And yes, that one question just came in about closed captioning, and Stream is the great service that does already have closed captioning. So when you have something in Stream, it will automatically give you closed captioning, and you can search that. We use this all the time internally.
Yeah, and it'll pop up here. Anyway. Yep.
Okay. If someone besides the organizer starts a recording, can the organizer also start a recording so that they can manage the permissions on the recorded video?
If another organizer starts the recording, essentially you'll have access to that same recording together. It'll only be one recording, and then you can go and manage the permissions from that one recording directly in stream like we just did from there.
Right. There would only be one recording. So once it starts recording, you can't start another recording. The person who starts the recording and the organizer of the meeting will have the kind of power over that recording itself. Can you download a recorded meeting video and make it available to those outside the organization? What a great question. Yes, you can, because that's what we're going to do here.
Yeah, totally. So if you click this, so probably the easiest way to find it is just click that and go to Microsoft Stream. I was just kind of showing you how to do it through Office 365. So here it is. I can go and rewatch this. You also have just some little features here. This isn't a stream thing, but just so you know, you can like trim the video. Like let's say you had some stuff in the beginning or the end you want to cut out. You could actually cut that out. So just like really minor editing features are available. And if you wanted to download, yes, you go here, click the ellipses, download the video. It downloads as a file to your local computer, and then you can take that and upload it to YouTube or whatever you're doing. That's how you do it. Great question. All right. Anything else? Are we ready for the next one, Abby?
Yep.
All right, cool. So that's sort of everything about standalone scheduled meetings. And I started there because I know that, probably like typically 90% of what you're doing will be those, at least currently. And then the more you're comfortable you get with Teams, the more you're going to be going more to these two types, hopefully. So let's first go to ad hoc. So these are really just like, let's say that it's a natural way to set up a meeting with someone else, and let's say just chat isn't enough and you want to actually like quickly talk with somebody, right? And it's just easier that way, which a lot of times it is. Let's show you how you might do that within Teams. So pulling up my environment again. So here I am. Deborah reached out and said, "Hey, good morning." And I say, "Hey, good morning, Deborah. What do you think of, do you have a second to chat about X?" So I'm just kind of checking in. We don't have a meeting scheduled, let's say, but it's in the morning. We both have our coffee and something's top of mind for me. And I want to just quickly touch base with her about something. So let's say that Deborah does say that. I think Deborah might be busy answering questions, but that's totally fine.
Deborah's on her way. Deborah's coming.
These little buttons down here. So you see, like, in prior Teams trainings, we went through some of the format options that are available, right? You can bullet things, you can add files this way, you can add emojis and GIFs. You'll see also over here, there's the schedule meeting button. So let's say that I wanted to schedule something with her, but not this second, and kind of back to the section that we just had, like the more of a calendar section. That's an option to do it, and boom, that pops up. So maybe that's useful if you have especially like a group chat with multiple people. That might be useful. But let's say I just want to talk with her now. Up here in the top right, you see there's two options. I have option to video call or option to audio call. And what I can do is I can quickly just say, okay, great, awesome. She has time, so let's do an audio call. I haven't taken a shower yet, so I don't want to do video. And then I just give her a call, right? So really easy. And the thing that's nice about this is once, whether it's just one-on-one or whether it's like, you have like 10 or 20 people in that group chat, it'll push out an invite to everybody in that group chat, and then anybody who's available can choose to join. Then once you join, it's all of the same options, really the exact same meeting experience that we just went through. So I'm not going to go through it again, but just know you have really most of the capabilities, if not all, I think, or a lot of them, that you have in a standard meeting. So just know the format's very similar, right? Like everything's very, very similar. So that's how you do it there. Let's say also that Deborah and I, instead of having a one-on-one chat, that Deborah and I are working in one of our teams. So you all probably know what teams are at this point. And Deborah and I are both in, let's say, the CDOT team. And in this operations channel, we've got a lot going on. So we have some teams. It looks like we have some, well, actually, let's use this finance and admin channel. It's a little cleaner for now. So, okay, so let's say that Deborah and I are working on finance, and, I'm like, kind of starting my day or whatever I'm doing and saying, hey, I have a question about the recent financial reports. Do you have a second to chat? So what's cool about doing it this way is now I'm working within Teams in the channel, right? So as opposed to having a one-on-one chat that's private, now I'm working within the channel that Deborah and I are both working in and both participate in. And when Deborah is like, let's say she responds back and she says, yeah, sure, let's chat. Then what I can do here, which is really cool, is I can go here to meet now. And let's say what pops up. Oh, hey, everybody. What pops up is a bridge, basically, a Teams bridge for us to chat. So now I'm in Teams, I'm in our channel, and I clicked, meet now. So instead of like calling her one-on-one, what this does is it opens up a bridge in the channel. And that means even though Deborah and I are talking, that means that anybody else in the team who has access to the team can see that it's happening and can jump in if they're interested. So this is maybe more of like, it's a different style of working, but this is more of like, hey, just like as you're working together, especially if you're remote, and you don't have somebody in the office to talk to, you can set up a quick bridge this way, and then kind of, without inviting everybody else in the team and asking them to join, you're kind of putting a signal out there that it's happening and that people are welcome to join and participate if they'd like. So let's say I can even add a subject to kind of point people towards and just do financial reporting. Reports, financial report update. I can choose if I want my camera on or off, whatever. Click meet now, and now you see again, very, very similar format to a meeting that we had earlier, right? So same format, but the difference is I asked for Deborah, so hopefully Deborah would join in, and if not, I can ask her to join. So I just did. But I also have some other people here too these are all the people in the meeting. So Jordan's in the teams in the team with us. Jordan's in the team, Johanna's in the team, Joni's in the team. So I can go and actually ask other people to participate if I wanted to, but any of them might see it and they could jump in. So this is just a really cool way to just like quickly meet with someone, but also include the larger team in like a natural kind of way. Abby, any questions about that, or would you add anything about that type of stand-up?
Yep. I like to think of this kind of like group FaceTime. Like whenever you need to just pull in as many people as possible for a specific project or a specific team, I love to just schedule things ad hoc into the channel itself. I will say Deborah was having some echo issues, so Deborah did not join this meeting, and that's why.
Yeah.
But we do have a few questions. Is it possible to schedule a meeting in a specific Teams channel using Outlook?
Oh.
I don't think it is.
The answer is no.
Yeah.
But we can set up a specific Teams channel using Teams, and that's actually what we're going to go over next. So that's a great segue. After we get through a couple more questions, we'll get right into that.
Okay. Is that channel meeting saved afterward if it isn't specifically recorded, or does all evidence go away when the call has concluded?
Great question. If you recorded it, and I should have recorded it, but that's okay. If you recorded it, what happens is you'll see like here is a recording for a call that one of us had earlier. So it pops up kind of a similar way that you saw earlier. If you don't record it, the only thing that people would see is that a meeting happened. It will show who was in the meeting. So for that one, both Deborah and I were in it. If anybody else joined, their picture would pop up there too. And then if we had any IMs back and forth, that would have shown up as a trail here. So it won't record anything that you're saying, but it does show that you met, who met, and then any IMs that you had during the meeting.
Right, and any IMs that you exchange during the meeting will also appear in your chat panel. It'll appear as a meeting chat as opposed to a one-on-one chat or a group chat.
Yep.
How do other team members get notified that the call is underway?
Oh yeah, good question. I'll show you actually. I'll show you real fast here. So. Boy, it's keep putting on my video. That's fine. All right, so
great. Got that quarantine beard still.
Okay, cool. So yeah, how do I do this?
If you click out of the meeting, Adam, and click back into it, and I will see what appears on my screen.
Oh yeah, can you set one up on your end?
Well, what happens is whenever you click join on that particular meeting, my screen went like where that meeting was, it went purple and it said join now. So there wasn't a banner or like a super intense notification. I just know what time the meeting is supposed to start, and I should join whenever it's starting, but it will turn purple and say join now.
Abby, can you do me a favor and start a quick meeting?
Yeah.
Just click the meet now and do that so I can show people what it looks like on my end as someone who isn't in it.
Yeah, are you in the finance and okay? You're in
Yeah,
this one.
finance and admin. Because that's a good
okay.
question.
Yep.
So so let's say I'm in doing some work in product development, and I'm working away, and then Abby is chatting with Bob in the finance and admin channel, and Abby sets up a meeting. Cool, awesome, it worked. So you see this little video camera to the right. What that's showing is that there's a live meeting happening in that channel. And there's really you can only have one meeting in a channel at a time, I think. Never tried more, I don't think you can. Anyway, this is showing that there's a live meeting happening in the channel. So I'm working on project development. I'm like, oh, I wonder what's happening with finance. That's kind of interesting. Hop over here. And then I see that Deborah's in here. The meeting's half an hour or half a minute, just started. And I can click join and I get pulled right in. So I think that was the question. And it's a really nice kind of intuitive experience. Yeah.
I'm glad that the little video camera shows up because I actually didn't know if there was a notification.
Yep.
Okay, last question for this section. Let's say that I want to create a training video to post to stream and have available for people to access anytime. I want to record my screen of a slide deck with my recorded narration. What is the most efficient way to do that using meetings, events, or is there another platform?
Yeah, okay, so we better not get we'll answer it, but we won't spend a ton of time on it because it's really a different product. It really is, that's really a question around Stream. But you can use Teams to record all of your sessions is the answer. And then you can go to your stream, right? And you can go to your My Content and you'll have all of your videos that you've recorded available here. And then from here, it's using Stream to assemble them and share them in the way that you want. So that's probably the best process.
If I know this is an anonymous person, but if you'd like to submit your contact information, I can also show you how to record your screen, and I can show you exactly what you're talking about, how to do it. But this is
great. Great offer. You should take Abby up on it.
Thanks, Adam. All right, I'm going back on mute. Take it away.
Cool. Okay, so that was ad hoc. So hopefully that kind of gives you, right? So really we had two different types, right? We had from chat directly, and that's private. Sorry for my terrible handwriting. Right, and then we had in a channel, we had that little Meet Now feature, right? So those are the two ways in Teams. It's really easy to sort of just naturally set up a meeting. We have a private option, and then we have more of a Teams public to the Teams group option. All right, so last thing that we're going to cover on is project-based and group-focused. So these really are meetings that are meant to be for a specific team and in a channel. So in Teams, you can, so to the question earlier, which is a great question, how do I set up meetings directly in channels, and can I do it in Outlook? Not from Outlook, but you can do it directly in Teams. And then what it does is it focuses that meeting on that specific topic, which is nice, right? So people know if you set something up in the finance and admin section, like Deborah did earlier, that whatever that meeting is related to finance and admin, right? So that it kind of keeps the upward focus and also makes it public and also saved in one place. So how do we do that? You do it a couple of ways. Probably the easiest way is, I think this is, let's see. Yeah, so, okay, so you can click the Meet Now. Just because we just showed this, I'll do it this way. And you can schedule your meeting this way. And what happens is you see the selected channel to meet in automatically gets highlighted. And right now the default, because I was in the finance and admin section, is CDOT finance and admin. So that means that this meeting is now going to occur in Teams directly in that channel directly. So let's say this is finance review with the boss. And whatever time it is, right? Very same scheduling as we went over previously. Any details that you want to add, you can invite. So this is a good thing to know here. If you invite somebody, so if I invite Deborah here, Deborah will actually get an email, like a notification that I've invited her to this meeting. If I don't invite her here, this meeting will still show up on everybody's calendar. So when you set this up in a channel, the thing to know about is it will show up as a calendar invite to everybody on the team. because really by default you're including everybody on the team because it's a team meeting. The idea is, you have like a group of people that are working closely together, and so stuff that you do might be, whoever wants to participate can participate. So by default, they'll all get a calendar request pop up on their calendar, but you actually have to type in their name and select them as an attendee if you want them to get pushed like a notification. So that's kind of like your group of like important people that you want to make sure know about the call, and you want to have them respond and make sure that they're free for the call. Also, you can check scheduling assistant again, right? Just to make sure you're scheduling it when they're available. And then everybody else is more of like CC, like for awareness. So if I set this up, right, I'm scheduling it in the CDOT Finance and Admin channel, and that's really the difference from how we set up the meeting before, is that box right there. So you'll notice instead of scheduling it like in Outlook or something, now this is scheduled directly in Teams. It's directly in the channel. And now that exists. And also, let's see, so I schedule it for 11:30 today, finance review with the boss, and I go back to calendar. You'll see finance review with the boss just popped up. And that popped up for everybody in the team. That popped up for Deborah and everybody. So it's on the calendar. It's also in your channel, and you can join it either way. You can join it here and click join. You can start chatting with participants earlier, and really that just starts the reply thread. Or you can go to calendar, and as if you're tracking your calendar the day, you can also do it that way. So this is nice for really specific topic focused work for a team. And what's really cool about this, if I go back to the operations channel, we had a bunch of meetings in here, and I'll kind of just show you what it looks like over time. So you can see anyway, all right, so you can see this is a daily stand-up that I scheduled earlier, and it's already happened for a few weeks in a row. And if I click that expand, what you'll see is expands all of the activity that's happened in that meeting. So what's really cool about this is it's taking everything that happened in that meeting, and if that meeting happens weekly or daily or whatever, it still contains it all within this thread. And all the IMs that happen in the stand-up are there. And any recordings that I had from previous meetings are there. So I not only recorded this session, but then we had another stand-up maybe the next week, and then I recorded that next section. So it's nice that it pulls all of it together in one place, right? So especially and then everyone can use all of the apps and everything in this channel to manage stuff. So if you have meeting notes for this, you could just go into meeting notes and use that for notes. You can use all the files. You basically use this channel as your meeting hub. You can add in any other apps that you want, like if you're using Planner to track stuff, you can do that, right? You're using this as your meeting hub, and then this specific daily stand-up meeting now is all contained into one conversation thread. It just keeps it nice and tidy. The other way to set these up, first we did this right through the Meet Now feature, just to remind you, and then the Schedule Meeting feature. The other way to set them up is to go to Calendar and click New Meeting and fill out everything as we've already done a couple times. And then the only difference is over here, select the channel and team and channel that you want to meet in. And what's also nice about this, just so you know, is you can start typing and channels pop up. So sometimes, if you don't type anything, if you're in a lot of teams, it's just like kind of a lot to sift through, But if you know it's like the finance channel, just click finance and there it is, there's your option. So those are the two ways to set it up. Two ways to do the same thing, which is essentially set up a channel meeting for a team for that in that different kind of way, and kind of keep everything consolidated that way. All right. So any questions, or Abby, would you add anything about that?
We do have a question. How does the new private channels affect scheduling of meetings, or are there any differences?
Yeah, there are differences. Private channels, really think of, I think I have some private channels in here. Maybe not, I should add one. All right, yeah, I don't.
That's a great question.
Yeah, so private channels, just quickly, are really think of them as totally separate. By the way, the way that you set up a private channel, add channel, we'll just call this private. And there's this privacy thing down here. And if you click this, by the way, this has to be enabled, right? So if you don't have this option, that just means you haven't enabled it. So go to IT if it's not available and you want it available. Down here is private. If you click private, next. So what this is actually doing, and I want to, let's say I'll add Deborah directly here. So what this does is this actually sets up like an entirely new workspace for now, Deborah and I. If I go to private, this is totally separate. So just so you know, in the back end, like this is not the same SharePoint library. It's a new SharePoint library. It's managed separately. If I'm not an owner on this team, like the owners don't by default know that it exists even on the team, right? So like right now, the owners of this team are me and a mod administrator. The mod administrator, well, okay, they're the administrators, so it's a little different. But let's say someone else was an owner. Jordan was an owner. Jordan would have no idea that the private channel even existed. He wouldn't have access to it. You know, only the people that created it and are invited to it have access to that space. It's a totally separate space. And basically, if you want to meet in it and use that in that way, the Meet Now feature works. So you can turn that on and schedule meetings that way. Let's see. Let's see if I can schedule. I've never actually tried to schedule a channel meeting in a private. Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, so anyway, it looks like the best way to schedule something is to do it directly, like the Meet Now feature, or maybe just, you know, you can even just say like, you can even just put like a block on someone's calendar and say, let's meet in the private channel, something like that. Any other questions around channel meetings? Or
can you, I know we did have one question, I dismissed it earlier, but can you, since you're on your little panel here, explain what it means to pin something?
Yeah, like in chats?
Yep.
Yeah. So let's say this, we have, right, so the stand-up that we had earlier, this is a chat. And let's say that this is a really important stand-up to me. And, you know, I am doing updates for it daily and I'm using it all the time. And I just want it to be available all the time. And I want to refer to it and update files in it and whatever all the time. What I can do is this little ellipsis over here. I can click that. And there is a few options to do with the chat that we covered in the fundamentals course. So you can mute the chat and you can hide the chat if you want. This option pin allows you to basically put it on the top so that it never goes away. And so these are some of the recent chats I've had. These are some other that are just sort of suggested. And then this one will always stay up top, and that's my pinned one. So let's say I work really close with Deborah. I'm going to pin Deborah up there too, and I just want to be able to like chat with her whenever I want real easy, and I can do that. So that's pinning.
Great. Okay. Let's see. Can you go over all of the options listed next to operations? And I think that was just a team channel name, so I'm actually not sure.
That's okay. Yeah, no, so you know, basically a lot of the same options exist for the team channels as do any other meetings. So pretty much the same.
And I am getting so many people asking for screen recording help now. I'm gonna get a new job.
Maybe you can do a screen recording, like a quick,
like a session or something.
live event over that or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do members of a private channel have access to the rest of teams?
Yeah, you have to be a member of the team to be invited to a private channel. So this channel is only available to other people that are a part of the team. And you'd have to be invited to it to know it exists.
Okay, let's see. I've seen many meetings where it records when each person was added to the meeting and when they were removed. Is there a way to have that not record because it seems to take over the chat record?
Oh,
Good
yeah.
point.
If you have, yeah, you mean like these notifications? I don't know if you can. Do you know, Abby? I don't think you can.
I don't think there's a way to disable that. This is one of those things that I would definitely take to user voice though, because it is a really good piece of feedback. And I think if we could implement that, it might be a little less distracting during meetings. Great feedback, Anonymous. Yeah. Let's see. If you are not in a channel and you want to have an ad hoc meeting, how do you attach a document? And is this a copy of the document or the actual document? So if you're just setting up if you're just scheduling a meeting, how do you attach a document?
Okay, so I think we did that earlier when we set up our initial meeting, and then we used these files to set the agenda. So that was a standalone meeting that I set up, and then I posted the agenda doc as the first comment. So that's probably the easiest way. And then you can invite people over to this to view and do pre-reads.
Right. I will say Outlook, if you have a big document that you want to attach that you want attached to the meeting itself, send the Teams invite through Outlook. That is a little bit easier. You're used to that functionality. Otherwise, then yeah, just upload it to the chat itself within the meeting. Okay. Oh, no. Didn't mean to click on that.
And Abby, I'll sort of finish up, and then we'll take like 10 minutes for Q&A. I mean, I don't have much else, but just a couple closing thoughts. Hey, so those are the really three main use cases that I think of. There might be others that are out there, but I hope that by the end of today you kind of have a better sense of how to do scheduling meetings as standalones and how those work, ad hoc meetings, and then the project-based meetings directly in Teams. One thing to note, Teams is very consistent across devices. So, especially, when we all get back into the offices and stuff like that, people are on their phone versus on their device at work versus on their laptop or their computer at home. Really, the experience that we just showed is very, very similar. Like even on the phone, it's almost the exact same. So so the mobile experience, anyway, kind of already went through this, but yeah, team meetings just work pretty well. The idea is it's just one click and it should work. So the phones are the mobile app for Teams is really, really nice for Teams meetings. You can even do stuff like present PowerPoints. You can even like share files. I mean, almost all of the features that are available in the Teams client is available in the mobile. Not all, it's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. So I'd recommend if you have access to get the Teams app, definitely get that. If you're used to Skype, the Teams app is just so much better than Skype, and start trying your meetings in Teams and even using the Teams mobile app, and you should have a great experience. So with that, that's really all the content that we had to share. And then Abby and team, if there are any other questions, I'm happy to cover those.
Yeah, Adam, can you hop back into a fake meeting and we have another participant who just is curious. I know we can't show the share tray, like what we can do, but or what you can share, but if you could open that up again and just show what that looks like.
Oh, the share tray.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so joining this meeting. So here's TeamBridge, right? Here's all the different options. The way that we go to the share tray is this little up arrow there with share. And if I click that, and again, there's not much to show here, but I could share my desktop right now if I wanted to. It's not perfect, but typically, it's blurry, but typically it'd look more like this, right? So it would look more like I'd have my desktop I could highlight. I'd have different windows that I could click, and you can just scroll down and kind of like figure out which ones you want to click. If you have a bunch of PowerPoint files, you could have those, or Word files or whatever. And you can just sort of like scroll through and take a second. You don't have to click anything right away, right? Just kind of take a second, see what's what, choose the item that you actually want to share, select that, double click it, and then it'll pop up and share for the larger team here. So for here, if I want to share my screen share, just click that. And oh, cool. Hey, look at that. So share your screen. Oh, yeah, I should have done this earlier. Good. So now I can share, which screen do I want to share, 1, 2, or 3, because I have actually 3 monitors that I'm working at. I've got like a whole setup here. I can show my different applications that I have. So I've got like Firefox running. I have Edge running. If I want to share Teams, I could do that. Hey, great. Yeah, boy, should have showed this earlier. So you can show the application window and then the different, tabs that I have in Teams too. So if I wanted to show oh yeah, cool. Look, so I got that pet policy tab open. I just learned something today too. Now I'm sharing this in that meeting that we have open, and then we can co-author this in real time. And if I'm done, I can just hit stop and go back to my meeting. Should have covered that earlier. Great question.
Okay, how do you put items in the deck? So that would you would just use it like
so
you would
go to
PowerPoint.
files, what's really nice about Teams is you can just edit everything directly in Teams. So I can like click, I could click this and it would open up, or I can even choose how I want to open it. So if I want to open up in the browser, the desktop app, whatever. So I want to open up in the browser. So here it is, here's the agenda, and then you can just edit it directly from here. So really nice and easy to edit docs in Teams.
Cool. That's all the questions that we have right now.
Awesome. Well, hey, everyone. I hope this was helpful. The recording will be available after this. If you're interested, you just come back and you just join the same link, and the recording is available. Also be posted up by Abby, I think. Anyway, but you come back. You can come to the recording afterwards. Again, I'll finish with the this slide. There's more available sessions coming up. Invite you to join any of these other sessions if you're interested in any of these topics. And feel free to reach out if there's anything else. And with that, we'll close things out. Abby, team, anything else on your end?
I think we are good, Adam.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time.